Okay, welcome to the Monday webinar, you guys. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. Jose, bienvenido. Mel, bienvenido. You speak a little Spanish. You're down in lovely San Diego. There's some Spanish speaking going on there. And Lilla and Amy and Gerhard and Bo. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. And I'll tell you what was pretty fantastic was the opportunity to meet several of you guys this weekend. I don't even know who I met in total. Bo was there, and it was awesome to meet him, and I think he just logged out, but not to put you on the spot. But it was really great to meet some of you guys this weekend. Sergio, hola. Who was at the Traders Conference this weekend? Anybody in here? Did anybody make the trek? I mean, it was kind of far. I did meet several people from the group, but I don't know if those people are logged in right this moment. But the Florida Traders Conference was pretty darn fantastic. We had a really good time. Oh, Ryan, there you are. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So yeah, it was so good to meet so many people there this past weekend. I had probably too much fun, and you know, it was just really good to meet everyone. I think Bo's back with us. You there, Bo? It was good meeting Bo too, and just everybody. We had such a good time. We talked about so many crazy things. We talked about a million different styles of trading, but that the most important thing is to simply make some money and be profitable. And so many people that I have communicated with on Twitter, presenters at the conference, by the way, that I've talked with on Twitter so many times and email. It was good to hang out and meet everybody in person and just have a great time and talk about tons of awesome things. So all in all, I'd like to say it was a huge, massive, gargantuan success. And there is going to be more of that to come. Sounds like there's going to be another Traders Conference in Phoenix in a couple of months. So those that are more on this side of the U.S., it'll be an easier trek, and even some of those in Canada. We've got some West Coast Canadians that could make a pretty easy flight down here as well. So anyways, it'd be great to get together with everyone. It's always good to meet people that I have been trading with for so very long. So many of you group members have been like family members. You guys have been here for quite a while, so it was really great to meet several of you. Okay, so fun weekend. Excellent things to talk about coming up. So just be ready for all of that. For anybody that's here for a first time, remember there is a trade group. This little platform that we're logged into right now, we actually meet a couple of times a day all week long, and we just talk about more trades, talk about more trading opportunities, talk about all kinds of crazy, fun, wild things that we do, and we'd love to have you with us. You can get a free trial by going to daytradersfx.com, and if you just scroll down just a hair, you can get a free trial right there. We've got two kinds of free trials. One is just to receive mobile trade alerts and see the trades posted on the website in the members area. And the other one is to actually be part of the live trading group that we're currently in right now. So anyways, we'd love to have you stop by. You can just go to this link directly if you'd like to get a free trial to join us this week and see what you think about it. We'd love to have you. No pressure to, if you get a free trial, there's no pressure to carry on with it. We'd love to have you long term, but if you just want to try it out for a couple of days, that is perfectly okay as well. So stop by there, have a little look, and let's see what happens. We don't have anything super wild and crazy this week as far as news goes. We do have a couple of employment numbers, Australian employment numbers. We're super dialed in on Australian pairs. There's a lot of great Aussie pairs that are setting up, and I would really, really, really like to get in on several of those. So we've got some important Aussie news this week. We will have a we'll have a live trading session for Australia's employment numbers not tomorrow, but Wednesday. So that'll be one of our live sessions, news trading sessions, which we try to trade one or two news announcements every week along with our regular sessions. So we'll be doing that this week. And then, we've got some, Carney's going to speak, and he's always one to cause serious shock factors. That's not till Thursday, Bank of England. We've got some retail sales numbers for the U.S. We've got a little bit of more speakings from Australian Central Bank. Australia's central bank. And so it's not a heavy news week, which is nice because it's been a heavy news week every week for like 7 years. So it's nice to not have ridiculous amounts of news. There's a pretty good amount of news, but there's not ridiculous amounts of news. And so that kind of makes markets a little less crazy and a little more, trendy, normal, not so nuts. So anyways, okay, so that's news this week. That's what we've got going on. Here's some things that I'm looking at that I'm like super excited about. Euro dollar is on the radar. Now I have pound dollar here because that's just the order that my charts are in, but actually this kind of goes for all pound pairs. I think we have some interesting things going on all the pound pairs this week. Especially with Carney speaking this Thursday, that could really escalate some of these pound pair movements. So we're going to be ready for that. But pound pairs are looking super interesting this week. I'm super into dollar CAD and some of the other CAD pairs. So dollar CAD's looking good, pound CAD's looking kind of good, Euro CAD's looking kind of good. It's just like a lot of CADiness going on. So I'm kind of excited about that. And then Aussie New Zealand, the biggest trade of all of our lifetimes. There's still some selling pressure. We're going to talk about that. We've got a little quick short-term trade on the dollar yen, and then we're going to once again kind of address all of these pound pairs. So let's look real fast at the euro dollar and kind of what this one is doing right now. The euro dollar is in an interesting area. One thing that I can't ignore is my indicator in the upper right hand corner here on the daily chart. It's screaming that this pair is oversold in the very short term. And Kuldip, the Orlando trip this weekend was super awesome. Super awesome. We had such a great time. Thanks for asking. There's going to be some videos, by the way, of all the presentations that were done and all the times that were had. That'll all be posted. So I'll make sure to share that with you guys. So those that weren't able to make it, you can kind of see what we covered. Okay, but going back to this euro dollar, the euro dollar is just screaming oversold to me. I don't think that, and Bo, it was super great to meet you, by the way, to see you there. Glad you made it. I don't think that we have any kind of long-term excitement on being long euro dollar, but I do feel like the euro dollar is probably going to pop up a little bit more. I think there's going to be some surprises this week because we've got a very oversold daily chart. Daily chart's at 183 bars of 87. 80% probabilities here. We're about 1,700 current max pips from a previous 2,900. So we're more than halfway to the previous maximum movements. But this euro dollar is really struggling, particularly with this 1,300 level. So what I'm looking at is there's kind of a small range here, and I want to sell the breaks, and I want to probably buy the dips. I just feel like that's what's going to be our situation coming up here. So the kinds of breaks I want to be selling are breaks below 1,300. Now we had some little false alarms here. This is our 4-hour chart. 1,300 held like crazy all week last week. It took a little stab at it this week. We dipped down below 1,300 by about 30 pips or so. Looks like we hit about 112.70, and then it's popping back up. If we can start to get some opens below 1,300, like on 4-hour and daily charts, then this should be a good one to continue shorting. We've got what I like to call, this is a very technical term, candy cane going on here. Okay, it's not super technical, but it's kind of what we have going on. We've just got the stripes. We've just got the bullish bearish. So we've created this nice little range here, and 1,300 is kind of the bottom of that range. Now, again, there's been some little attempts and some little dips, but since the beginning of the year, for a little over a month now, 1,300 has held and held and held and held, and it looks like it's holding pretty well. So here's what we're going to do. With 1,300 in mind, if we can get below this level, if we can really make some breaks below 1,300, then we're going to be then we're going to absolutely be getting short, and we're going to trade this back down into these lows. We've kind of got this range. Look at these lows right here, about 210 or 15 pips below 1,300, and look at the highs, about 220 or 30 pips below above 1,300. So we're kind of in the middle of this range that goes back a little over a month and change. and we're just bouncing around in that. So if we can make a break and a significant move below 11300, I'm looking to trade this down into, like 111, maybe a little bit above 111. So I'll be getting out, with profit hopefully before 111, 111.20-ish, something like that. If we can get below 11300. Otherwise, we might be making a break and starting to head up into some of these upper levels. Remember, we've got a 4-hour chart that's decent as far as max pips go. The 4-hour chart's at 224 bars, and our previous max pips are 742, and we're at 541. So the 4-hour chart is approaching maximum movement according to previous historical movements, and the daily chart is right there as well, and that's what's getting me to think that we might start to see some moves higher on this euro dollar. I don't know exactly where I want to get in on this. That's where it gets a little tricky. If we get a break of 11300, I will look to trade the double bottom of about 11100 and get long euro dollar up into 115, 116 from about 11100, 11150. If it doesn't break 11300, then we're going to be just looking for something as simple as a trend line break in getting in and trading this back up. Remember, we've got a huge indicator situation on 4-hour and 1-hour charts that are starting to look pretty darn bullish for the very short term, and so we've got just an endless amount of missed pivots up here, and so that's what we're going to do. So everything is kind of hinged on 11300 this week. This is going to be the level to watch. We're going to be short below and looking to buy dips, trade it down to around 11100 and then buy those dips, or we're going to be looking for breaks of trend lines with stops below 11300. So should be interesting, should be a fun, exciting week. We'll see where this euro dollar goes, but it should be a good one. So I'm going to skip over the pound dollar for just a moment and go right to dollar CAD. Dollar CAD, I still want to be short below dollar CAD, and actually we have a pending order here, or an order for the group from last week that's related to the dollar CAD, and I'll talk about that more with group members later. But dollar CAD still looks good in this whole situation right here. We have 12400 in areas to buy dips, so I want to be short below 12400, and I want to be buying dips around 12100. And there's on every pair that I'm talking about, there are just so many missed pivots everywhere. The euro dollar has tons of missed pivots. Thanks for bringing that up. The missed pivots. We have tons of missed pivots here on euro dollar, and dollar CAD is going to have tons of missed pivots as well. We've got just a massive amount of pivots in both directions on pretty much all the charts that we're looking at. But what I'm looking at on the dollar CAD specifically is the fact that this 4-hour chart is as overbought as it has ever been in the history of the dollar CAD. So what I'm really liking here is we have this nice little channel that's been bouncing around. We're kind of making a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern. This is short term. This is just on the 4-hour chart. But we've got a bit of a head and shoulders pattern. We're 1,200 pips at current max pips here, which, the previous has been 158. So we're crazy overbought. And we've got a lot of support down here around 120. We've got some missed pivots around 122, 50, 60, 70, and we've got the 200 moving average and some more missed pivots down here just a little bit below. I would like to be short below 12400, targeting at least 122, we'll say 75, 122.75. So just kind of a quick 125 pips, but I think we can get even lower, and I think we can get down around 120, between 121 and 122. I'll start looking for opportunities to buy into the dollar CAD. But I want to short it below 12400 because we've got just the most overextended indicator situation that I've ever seen. And so that one's looking pretty intense. We do have a lot of missed pivots here on the daily chart. I mean, it goes way down. There's huge missed pivots all over the place, and we could see bigger moves down. But I'm kind of I'm going to be watching some fib levels, and I'm kind of just looking for some shallow retracements. One thing that we can see here, if we go to like a weekly chart on the dollar CAD and we look at a couple of different ranges, here's a range that has had no real significant retracement. And you can see that range right there Our 23% fib is sitting right about 122. 85-ish. So if we do make a significant move below that, then we could be headed right down into 120, which is our 38% fib. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So our first move is definitely going to be short below 12400. And if we can clear 122.85, then 120 is a pretty good target. But if we don't, then you know, we're going to kind of be keeping an eye on that 120-100 and so on area. But definitely I want to be short dollar CAD below the lows of last week. If it doesn't break the lows, I'm going to be so crazy cautious about buying this thing, because it's kind of got some head and shoulders action going. It's got a couple of things in the works, and I'm just a little nervous about buying this. I feel like it's pretty overbought. And so I want to kind of hold off on buying those buying those dips until it breaks that low and kind of resets that 4-hour chart. So that's what I'm looking for on dollar CAD. Should be a very exciting one. Some great stuff coming up there. We're going to talk about all the pound pairs in just a moment. But any questions so far? Any questions about dollar CAD, euro dollar? Any details about any of that stuff just yet? Feel free to ask them. I'll stop and answer questions. But let's move on real quick to Aussie New Zealand. Aussie New Zealand is one of my mostest, favoritist pairs, and it just keeps bouncing around. This Aussie New Zealand is hopping around. The Aussie New Zealand has got kind of a decent little head and shoulders pattern in the works on the 4-hour chart. It's not the best head and shoulders pattern I've seen, but it's looking like we got some head and shoulders activity. So this is why I want to be short below 10500. It's bouncing around, it's bumping around like crazy, but I do want to be short below 10500 to trade this down at least 100 to potentially 150 pips. Right now we still have weaker Australian interest rates and a weaker kind of forward guidance outlook for the from the Central Bank of Australia than we do for New Zealand. New Zealand is actually holding up pretty well, and so that's gonna keep the selling pressure on the Aussie New Zealand for now. But here's the thing to remember, is that these historic highs and lows just simply don't break. They just don't do it. And so our lows go back here. I mean, we've seen lows down in the 102, 50, 60 area. But I think these are going to hold, and I'm very confident these are going to hold. I'm very confident that things are going to change enough in Australia and New Zealand that we're not just going to see a massive 5, 6, 800 pip, 1,000 pip movement below this 10500. We could see 200 pips. That's totally possible. But I'm just not sold on the big move down yet. And we'll know pretty soon what New Zealand's thinking and how they're looking at things. But for the moment, we just want to kind of be short below that 10500, see if we can get down into the 104 area, and then we'll probably start looking for opportunities to get into some small buy positions and just hold on it from there. Peter, we may need to get you an updated version of the indicator. If you'll send an email, if anyone's having any indicator problems, by the way, you can send an email to, and that'll get you all set up on the indicator with any problems might be happening there. Yeah, Bo, I know the Aussie New Zealand is kind of your nemesis for sure. Yeah, because it's getting choppy down here. It's getting really choppy, but that's also a good sign. That means that you know, the market's kind of holding, and it's keeping its support levels, and it's, you know, it's getting interesting. It'll be choppy. There's going to be, as I like to say, there's going to be some broken eggs in this omelet, but the Aussie New Zealand's going to be a huge trade. So if it heads down another 100 pips, we'll grab some of that. If it doesn't, you know, there will probably be some small losses taken. Make no mistake about that. And that's not going to be super uncommon. If we have to lose 30, 40, 50 pips, 100 pips to get into that move that's going to make us 1,000 pips, then, you know, it'll be worth it. But we do have to be careful with it. We don't want to just, you know, if we have too many small losses, then we have to make a lot of money to make this an amazing trade. But so far it's been pretty good. We've been pretty lucky with it. Lots of stop outs at break even and +1. And we've got some more good positions that we're working on. So that's what I'm looking for with Aussie New Zealand at the moment. quick, easy trade for anybody that's bored and just needs a quick, easy trade, which I'm always a fan of. Dollar yen just has a simple bull flag. Nothing too crazy, just a simple run up of 200 pips, retracement, and probably a continuation higher. So let's look for opportunities to probably get long dollar yen around 118.75, 118.80, somewhere in that general area. Just a quick little bull flag play out. Nothing too crazy. It's still pretty choppy. It's still kind of rangy in this general area. The daily chart's not very oversold, overbought. So there's room for this to kind of test the top of these ranges before making some sort of double top or something else. You can see that this trend line right here, if we just follow this guy right on down, it's just bouncing right on that trend line, and that's why if we can get a nice little break of this area, we've got some pips, 40, 50 pips to go before we start hitting that trend line. And if we break that trend line on dollar yen, there's going to be some, hopefully some decent movements, 200 to 300 pips to get back up into a potential double top and beyond. So let's watch that. Let's watch this dollar yen. Let's watch the break of this trend line. Let's kind of see where this guy goes, and let's be ready for that little quick, easy bull flag that's coming. Okay, so as far as all the pound pairs go, we just kind of have head and shoulders, little head and shoulders patterns on all these pound pairs. Pound dollar is one of them. The pound dollars just kind of made this run up and a little head and shoulders, and it's kind of pulling back here. And I think there's going to be some good opportunities to short this thing at least down into 150-100. There's probably going to be a little 100 pip trade in the pound dollar. And then we'll trade this back down. I'm looking for a little bit of pullback right now, and then we'll see if we can short this thing somewhere below 150-200, targeting 150-100, and even further down, we could see a move down into 150. But we're watching for that. That should be a nice little trade. You can see pound Swiss francs, a little bit of a choppier version of that. Pound New Zealand's got kind of a similar situation here. Nice little head, shoulder. Crazy looking neckline right there, and there's some room for this thing to go down into a monthly pivot here, which is about 200 pips away. Excuse me, 200 pips away. We've got some some clusters of daily and weekly pivots down here that are 400 and 500 pips away. The pound New Zealand moves a lot when it moves, and it's a choppy, crazy pair to trade. Make no mistake about that. But when it starts to scoot, it can make some nice little moves, just like this one right here, where it just basically ran up a quick 1,500 pips, no problem. Let's see if we can grab some of this head and shoulders business and take this back down into the 2,000 range, into the lower 2,000s at least. There should be 200 or 300 pips on something like this, so we'll be ready for that. Pound dollar's got a similar setup. Pound CAD's got a similar setup. Pound Aussie's a little more choppy, but may give us something. It may give us something. It's really bounced around in this channel. It's coming off the tops there. 1 hour chart is pretty decently overbought, but I'm going to be extra cautious of all of them. I think I'm going to be extra cautious of the pound Aussie this week. We've got some decent pound news, and we've got some decent Aussie news. And that's just going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a tricky one. So I'll probably stay out of that one. But pound New Zealand looks good. Pound dollar looks good. Pound CAD looks pretty good as well. So let's just kind of watch for some of these little head and shoulders, some of these little retracements and little reversals to happen. And let's be ready to buy some dips on those ones. So pound pairs, I think, are going to be good this week. I think we're going to get some decent pullback. Now, I'm going to base a lot of that on what Carney says coming up. I'm going to look at the technical pattern now, and then Carney will be speaking on Thursday, and that's going to kind of determine our long-term direction with a lot of these pound pairs. So we're going to see what the Bank of England's looking at, thinking about, talking about, doing, and we'll take it from there. But we've got some really good trades. We've got some great setups. The euro dollar is looking good. Aussie New Zealand, I think, is going to give us some good love this week. Pound dollar, pound New Zealand's going to be good. Dollar CAD's going to be great. Dollar yen's going to be great. And that's about all I've got energy for. There's probably going to be some other setups in there, but I think those pairs right there are going to be pretty excellent. Pretty excellent. So let's be ready for those. Let's jump into a couple of trades coming up there and see where it all goes. What do you guys think about that? Questions, comments? Anybody want to add anything, take away anything, bring up anything? Let's hear it. I'm all ears.